Welcome to the show. This is the Pirate Pulse, the podcast. We got a special episode for you. I guess every episode's special, man. But we got a summer surge between baseball wrap-up, portal buzz, and let's go ahead and get the FAU football preview. I mean, it's coming before you know it. Let's go ahead and get into it. I'm Trey Scott.
I'm Chance Scott.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into what happened last weekend. What a run. What a run by the Pirates to finish their season. Not the run that we wanted to end on, but a hell of a run, man. Taking down Florida, taking down Fairfield, meeting Coastal, and had a chance to go to the Super Regional, and they just could not get it done. Took down Florida twice. Let's put that down there. Could not get it done. Chance, you were there. What was the atmosphere like? How did the boys look? Talk me through it.
Man, Conway, it was a really good time. They put on a really good regional. Everybody, the media staff was great. They helped you get to where you got to be, and I had a great time. But the run that ECU put on the last 2 weeks was just, you didn't see it coming. You kind of felt it, but you didn't see it. And then Saturday night, that place was sold out. Their biggest crowd yet, and it was purple gold chants going on. Let's go Pirate chants, and you're just like, ECU's going to do this thing.
Yeah.
They're winning at the bottom of the sixth inning. They're going punch for punch, and then Coastal just throws their knockout punch with the go-ahead grand slam. And you sit back and think, like, wow, this team's full of freshmen and sophomores, and you had 4 freshmen throw openers this weekend, and you think, wow, like, what special, you really have it.
Yeah.
And, they took down a SEC powerhouse twice and, gave their coach a little fun for what he wanted to do. So I think that was the best part.
Speaking on the little fun, let's get some drama into it. It's not right here on my planned things to talk about. But did you get to see any of the drama that went down post game? I mean pre-game.
I didn't see it. Brian Bailey had tweeted about it, and if Brian Bailey's tweeting about something, it's probably pretty important. And then some videos started to go around. You didn't know how how AI works now. But those are really real, but he was cussing up a storm to the NCAA rep, and he didn't put on a great look for the University of Florida and just, their fan base. I don't know how you react to that. And then what he said to Parker Bird about taking a whiteboard and shoving it where the sun don't shine is it's not a great look at all.
No, it's not a great look. And go ahead and put it out there. For our viewers' discretion, we have those videos, and we're going to post it right now. Watch this clip.
1:30 in the fucking morning. You get to fucking breakfast. You do that for what? Because they play late? Big fucking deal. 1 hour's gonna make a difference? I'm sorry, Mark. I appreciate you. This is fucking bullshit. Goddamn right. I gotta deal with my fucking boss guy. I gotta deal with my fucking trainer. I gotta deal with everyone. All these guys fucking change. Fucking bus driver, everything. Oh, fucking what? So what they fucking play late? Started at 8 o'clock game. What the fuck? You started fucking midnight. You started at 11. You started at 10:30. You started at 8. Give me a break.
Okay, so now you've seen the clips. Florida coach absolutely, at least their AD probably got on them very, very, very badly. Very unprofessional look for the SEC school. And then he came out with an apology. What did you think about the apology?
Yeah, just, whatever PR intern they've got writing that up, you could tell that is not O'Sullivan writing that, and his apology wasn't even for what he did to Parker Bird, because there's no proof other than Parker coming out on a radio show and confirming that. But his was apologizing to how he treated the NCAA rep and how he treated the whole Coastal Carolina staff. That was just pretty unprofessional. And I think my last thing on him was he was dodging those questions in the post game. Again, Brian Bailey asked him just what did you do? Did you do anything pregame? And he didn't want to answer. And then another reporter kind of asked him just, did you do something to give him pregame motivation? And he kind of just ducked it and said ECU was a good team. So I think he was a little scared of the bright lights because he realized that it had got out.
And not only that, what's my man's name on Instagram that we saw? Was it Chris? It's not Chris Sims. What is it?
Something Phillips. Is it Chris Phillips?
Chris Phillips.
Yep.
Chris Phillips.
SEC Unfiltered, I know
so
that.
When the brackets came out, Florida was excited that ECU. They got a great draw. How did that work out for him?
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes this the best part was, ECU did lose to Coastal twice, but I think beating up on Florida twice and having to watch that guy eat his words a little bit, and he was still trying to back Florida. He said, "Oh, Sullivan did that." There was something more to it, and he just keeps backing them. But hey, the boys went 2-0 and beat them 22-10 if you combine the two scores.
I think that all plays. My whole point of bringing that all up was I believe ECU was overlooked. I think they looked down on ECU.
Yeah.
Big old SEC. I got all this money. I can go buy this player. I can go buy that player. And you're getting beat up by a walk-on leadoff hitter. And shout out to the Pirates for a great showing, for even making the tournament. That was impressive. The AAC run, finished the season like that, fighting back. It shows what type of coach Cliff is. At any time he could have quit on this team, he could have put quit into their hearts. But he proved to them that he is the true leader to push this team over the top. And like I said, it wasn't the – everybody wants the Cinderella story finish. Just didn't happen this year. Pirates will get it again, get another chance next year, and we'll be there throughout the way. Standout performers. Who really stuck out? There was some key performances. I mean, we've seen it from – and one of them I know was Norby.
Yeah. We've
seen Norby do it all year. We've seen Braden Burris do it all year. And talk about those guys too, but who stood out?
Man, just the most guy that stood out, and to me probably should have won the MVP at a regional, but they gave it to the Coastal Carolina first baseman who arguably deserves it too. But
respectfully,
Austin Irby, man, it was unreal. He looked like a junior draft eligible, ready. He's about to go play pro ball. That guy was seeing beach balls, I guess. But he put up 3 home runs this weekend, and one of them he should have had 4 because he hit a laser off the right field wall, hit the top of the wall, and almost got thrown out at second. He hit it so hard. But that guy was just massive, and his defense has. I think that's the biggest jump he's made because his bat's always been there. He hit some. He had a 2 home run game against Gardner Webb in Fayetteville at a professional ballpark. So I mean, his power's been there, but his defense, he just, Dixon having to play shortstop, which we'll get into that later. He's not made to be a shortstop. His arm isn't good enough, but Irby dug out a lot of balls from him and saved a lot of outs for ECU, and I think that was the biggest key from earlier in this year till now. Just he made that jump, and then I think he got confident. And at the plate, he showed it. He was hitting balls all over the park.
And now let's bring up the obvious one. And this skips one guy. I'll go back to him. Ethan Norby. His performance, man. Standing ovation. No, that was Zayat.
I don't think he got it. He probably deserved one. But, it's just so used to that now that just how important has he been for ECU? Yeah. 2 of the probably biggest games of the year. Friday, Coastal Carolina. Their rank coming in, 19 strikeout win. On the road, you're the 2 seed, you're the 3 seed, you're the underdog. You're not supposed to win. You're not even supposed to be here. Yeah. Puts up 10 strikeouts, 7 1/3, shuts down one of the, arguably I thought, probably one of the best offenses, in the country, and just every one of those batters are 6'5". And you stand there and you look at their catcher when he's catching Braden Burris, and he's like 6'7", and Braden's 5'10". We'll give him 5'10". Yeah. And I think that just shows how important Norby had been. He gave up 6 hits, only 3 earned runs, but they probably trotted him out there a little bit too long. Just you got to keep giving him the ball until all the wheels fall off.
Yeah. All right, let's roll to another guy that pitched to the wheels fall off. The freshman. Talk about his performance.
Man, Zayak, just season on the line. You needed somebody to give you length. There's just two arms left down there in that bullpen that are really healthy and hot. And Zayak gives you 7 1/3, only gives up 1 earned run. Just what a performance by that guy. Just go up there with the lights are absolutely the brightest. If you lose, you're done. You're going home. No more baseball for the year. And he delivers for you. He gets a standing ovation. Both of them did. Their pitcher, Riley Eckhoff, or however you say his name, he got one too. They were going pitch for pitch, and it just felt like whoever gets his first run is going to win this game. And ECU didn't give Zayak no run support, man. He was just huge. He didn't get a lot of strikeouts, but he was getting a lot of weak contact. And when you're doing that, it's just –
most importantly, he gave the Pirates a chance to win.
Yeah, 1-0 loss against I think that team's probably going to Omaha.
That will never fall on the pitcher.
Yeah, he took a loss, and he probably could have been the best pitcher of the tournament.
Probably the best loss of his career.
Yeah, that's by far. Yeah, if Cliff Godwin said after the postseason, after the game, that if you told him that Zayak was going to give you 7 1/3 innings and giving up 1 run, he's going to take that every day he can get it.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's talk about some awards given out. The all-region team. I'll go over this. Coastal Carolina had the catcher, Caden Bodine. I probably shouldn't be going over this because I don't know these names, man. I'm going to screw this up. First baseman, Kobe Thorndike from Coastal Carolina. Our second baseman, Braden Burris for East Carolina. Third baseman, Landon Stripling from Florida. Shortstop, Bobby Bozer from Florida. Outfielder, Sebastian Alexander from Coastal Carolina. Outfielder, Will Sykes from Coastal Carolina. Outfielder, Jack Heron, East Carolina. DH, Austin Irby, East Carolina. Pitcher, Ethan Norby, East Carolina. And pitcher, Riley Ecoff. Did I say that right? Close enough?
That's about kind of how I had it.
From Coastal Carolina. And most important, most outstanding player, Colby Thorndike from Eastern Carolina. Okay, so the season's over.
Yep.
Season's over. You mentioned that. Let's go ahead and get to this part. You mentioned that Dixon Williams had to play shortstop.
Yep.
How did that happen? Why? I got a good feeling I know why, but
yeah, just Alex Boucher. We had talked about it a lot. Just you privately you've got to find another guy. Just he made too many errors, too many strikeouts at the plate. He didn't really provide a lot. If you're going to strike out a lot, you at least got to have some power or have a Gold Glove. And he didn't look truly comfortable. I don't know if that jump from Old Dominion to here and having to play back in his hometown put a lot of pressure on him, which I'm sure it probably wasn't easy. And it kind of felt like once that first error happened, it was just a downfall of bad after bad after bad. And
so, question: did ECU wait too long to change their shortstop position?
I do think so. I know they were trying to give that guy every chance they could because they did not want to put Dixon over there because of how thin the outfield was. He had to bring Braden in, so it is a tough choice. I think, I don't know kind of what hand you play, but he pulled the right card. He moved him at the conference tournament, and all of a sudden we go on a run, so I don't really question it. I would have liked to seen it earlier, though.
I agree. All right, before we get into the portal, Cliff Goblin, either today, yesterday, he made a statement on Twitter, which is public information. We can throw this out here. What was the statement he made on Twitter, and what is going on? Yeah,
he said that there's some Power 4 schools coming and texting his guys that are not in the portal, and how? Why? How is this a thing still? We keep seeing it every year, and it keeps happening, but shout out to Cliff for, standing up, and he's probably going to get a fine, but I'm sure he's going to wear that fine on his shoulder and be proud of that one.
Yeah. So going into the portal, what does ECU need? Let's start there before we talk about anything else about departures. What does ECU need going into the portal?
Yeah, my number one get, as we just talked about, at shortstop. You've got to get a guy that you trust to make the routine plays. If he makes the great plays, that's an add-on, but we need a guy that's going to make the balls hit right to him, as going to throw the guy out. He's going to make the routine double play look easy. And a guy that can swing it. Just Alex Boucher didn't provide that. And it's been a while, truly since Zach Agnos, who's that Rockies closer now, it was your best shortstop, and that's been 3 years. So it's time to put some money up and get you a shortstop.
Arguably one of the most important positions on the field. Next up, right-handed closer with Ethan Young, likely headed to the draft. Dependable, he was very good for us. Very powerful arm. How important is replacing him?
Yeah, I think that hopefully, you can move Ethan Norby probably back to the bullpen, and you can use him every game of a weekend series. To have Ethan Norby and a powerful right-hander to come in and just blow it by dudes, I think that was probably the goal going into this year before two guys got hurt. Mm-hmm. And we still seeing how good Ethan Young was, and his numbers are probably better if they don't have to throw him for 60 pitches some games just because of how everything kind of shook out this year. But, he's a guy probably heading to the draft. He's got unreal numbers. Glad he was a Pirate for 1 year, that's for sure.
For sure. What else do you see on the Pirates must get list on the portal?
Yeah, I've got kind of my 3 is a big power bat guy you can put at DH, and he can keep his glove back at his mom and daddy's house. Just bring the bat with you. Just somebody that's gonna go out there and hit the ball, as far and hard as possible. He might strike out some, but just he has no pressure other than swinging the baseball bat.
All right, and what else you got up on the list?
You just need a backup catcher. Walker Barron caught is probably 95% of innings this year. I know one game he sat and ECU had already lost a series, so probably wasn't even an important game at that point. But he caught so many important innings, and he was good. We see him throw a lot of runners out, but you need a guy to help give him some rest. You could tell that Sunday night game he was exhausted back there. So, he deserves this long break in between seasons, but you got to get him some help too.
And last but not least, like we talked about, Norby's been great. I thought Sean Jenkins had a good 17-year-old year for a rookie, freshman. And we've seen some more guys step up and throw the rock. What do you think about the starting pitching role? Do you think ECU needs to add on there?
Yeah, I would like to see him add one. You do, I guess, if you're kind of looking at it, you should get two guys back, from Ryan Towers and Tolik. They're both injured all year. You don't see them throw other than in the fall, and they were probably your number 1 and number 2 starters. So you lose both of your probably 2 best starting pitchers before the season and have to shake up everything. But I would like to see a true starter, somebody that's proven that can, go get you linked, even if he's a Sunday guy. He ain't got to be the Friday guy when the lights are brightest, but somebody to help you get some link for your bullpen. They ain't got to throw so much.
All right, and now drama. Departures, the portal entries, whatever you want to call it. Before we even talk about the 2 most recent, we had a guy lead the team before the conference tournament even start.
Yep.
Who was that?
It was Drew Downs. There's been multiple guys. I don't know if they've been asked to leave before or they chose to leave, but I know Drew Downs was on the trip to South Florida, and everybody that made that trip to South Florida was supposed to go to the conference tournament, and he did not make it. There's been kind of rumors, don't know really how true this is, that he was kind of told to leave because he was speaking of leaving. And if that's the case, good on whoever told him to pack his bags.
And there was one more before even that. That was, I think, Bowman, right?
Keenan Bowman, yep. That kind of sucks because he was a redshirt freshman. He did play a lot.
He did.
I did like kind of his stuff. I don't know if he wants to get more playing time and not kind of be a platoon guy.
Mm-hmm. All right, and now we have 2 guys that just recently entered the portal. One of them's kind of shocking to me, but what do you think about the 2 guys that entered the portal? Who are they?
Yeah, Lance Williams and Brad Pruitt. We'll start with Lance. He put on a big performance for ECU on Sunday morning. He shut down that offense. It keeps unreal to say it, but he went like 4 1/3, and he had like 5-6 strikeouts, and he had another performance against Coastal Carolina where he had 10 strikeouts against them on the Sunday game of that series. So I think that's a pretty tough arm to lose. He was kind of up and down this year. He struggled with some walks, but he's got some plus stuff. And I think wherever he lands on his feet, if he can just get the consistency of throwing strikes over the plate and not putting on so many free runners, he can be a pretty solid arm.
All right, and now let's talk about some football. And we got – we know State's going to open up the season. We're going to talk about that all summer, and there's plenty of guys up and down the list. But we decided to pull out a week that we think is very important, and it's going to be a tough game. Week 12 at Florida Atlantic. What do you have on these guys? Let's talk about Florida Atlantic, how big this game will be. Obviously, we don't know in Week 12 whether we're going to be 12-1 or or 1-11 or 5-5.
Yeah.
We don't know. But how big is this matchup for ECU football?
I think it's pretty big. Florida Atlantic, they've been rumored to have a lot of NIL money, so you're playing the team that's brought in a lot of, I thought, solid transfers. But ECU, they rocked them in Dowdy last year, 49-14. They're going to want to get some revenge. They're not going to want to, let that happen again. So I think Florida Atlantic's going to come prepared. We'll know by week 10, week 9, just how this team is. But in week 12, if this offense is still as good as I think it is, it might be another 49-14 game.
All right, and FAU, they got to prove themselves a little bit too. No returners on defense. The defense will likely struggle, which that's what we want.
Yeah.
Defense will likely struggle, but expect a high-scoring game. They're going to put up points, like you said. They got the money.
Yeah.
The money buys touchdowns.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Money buys touchdowns. A heavy portal team that it could take time, but Week 12 is a lot of time to get it together. So the team might be better than their record by the time ECU plays them. So going into that, if we can match their scoring, we should be fine. And rolling into that, what does the portal look like for ECU football, in particular in the quarterback room?
Yeah, we've, thank God that Caden Hauser's still here. They did lose Jake Garcia to the portal, which, he was going to be your clear number 2. But then they brought in Mike Wright, a guy who I think is going to be your number 2, but you also get to use him in a different kind of way. He's going to be able to run the ball in certain packages, but, just the quarterback room has been great. I've liked everything they've seen. We lost, John David Black, who was a walk-on, which I did really enjoy him. I thought he could turn out to be something, but he's going to go play some D2 ball. And, just guys like him that sat here for 2 years and got to develop and then now has a chance to go play, that's what you like to see with the transfer portal.
I agree. And hopefully ECU can take advantage of the transfer portal and go ahead and get things together and solidify that room, solidify their leader, which I think they have it already, and build them packages with Wright. Final takes, ECU, great season, great run, really made the Pirates proud, Pirate Nation proud at a time where it was unknown.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? It was mid-April.
Yeah.
Or late April. There was no eyebrows being raised.
Yeah, there was a lot of negativity around this team. I think there's a lot of expectations in Greenville. Obviously, people, they want to see that program succeed. I wanted to succeed. It was kind of, I was getting frustrated with it, and there was some negativity from me too. And then Cliff Godwin, he puts on, which I think might be his best 2-week coaching stint of his career. Just how he turned around a team that's under 500 in a weak conference and a team that's getting bullied by the teams that are now in the Super Regional. I think it's his best 2 weeks. He shut everybody up. He's going to shut me up. I'm pretty excited for what 2026 is going to bring, and I wouldn't have said that 2 months ago.
I agree. I'm right there with you. Transfer portal hasn't done too much damage. It looks like we're going to be okay on football and baseball. So right now we're looking at a good matchup with FAU by the end of the year. Hopefully Pirates will be good by then. That's all we have for this episode. Again, go back, look at our Twitter stuff, look at our Facebook stuff, look at our YouTube. We got a lot of content for you guys. We're going to have a lot of content rolling out this upcoming weeks of just random different stuff to get you updated on the baseball team, on the football roster, on the football history, and all that above. Once again, thanks for following us. Thanks for liking what we do. I'm Trey Scott.
I'm Chance Scott.
We'll see you next week.